What's up? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Corey. I'm an art director, graphic designer, creative girly based in Atlanta. If you're not new, welcome back. I love you always. Today we're going to do a Q&A. I put a question box or whatever in my Instagram story about a week ago, or maybe a few days ago. I don't know. I don't know. But a question box was there and some questions were asked and we're going to answer them. I have not done a Q&A on this channel since when I first started this channel about a year ago. And so I figured I might as well go ahead and do another one. If you did ask me these questions on Instagram and you don't see it here in this video, either I did not understand the question or I will be doing a separate video on it in the near future. And so, you know, don't worry. But if you are watching this and you do have any other questions, please feel free to go ahead and drop them in the comments below and I will get to them in another Q&A video. All right, let's get into it. We got quite a few questions, but with that, we got quite a few repeats. So I tried to pick the ones that basically would answer everyone's questions. I hope I did a good job. But our first question here is, as a designer, is it important to have a mentor? Do you have one? So I don't have a mentor in the sense that I straight up ask someone like, hey, will you be my mentor? Or someone that I gave the title mentor. But I do have mentors in the sense that I have people in my life that I can ask any question, get advice, like career advice, life advice, things like that. And so, yes, I do have mentors, but that's really all a mentor is. So if you're someone that's shy about asking someone to be your mentor or whatever, you can, in my opinion, establish someone as your mentor that you have that relationship with. Or I even will go as far as to say that I consider some strangers on the internet who don't even know who I am my mentor. If they are providing value to me and that's their whole bread and butter online, and I listen to their advice and I look to them when I have questions and things like that, that's my mentor, ain't it? Generally, it is a good idea to have people like that in your life. So yeah, I think it's important for anybody. How do you bring your personality naturally to your pages in a world full of many influencers? I think remembering that you quite literally cannot be anyone other than yourself if you want your online life to be sustainable. Like, that's the only thing you can do. If you're pretending to be someone else, you'll get burned out or you'll get tired of acting in this role. Your personality is embedded in you, so it shouldn't take much thought to show it. It kind of just is. And if you do find that you think you're not showing your personality enough, it's probably because you're overthinking. Like, just stop thinking and that's your personality, you know? How long have you been a full-time freelancer? It's only my third day out here. I couldn't help myself. I will be 1 year in the game in February. That is when, February of 2023 is when I resigned from my full-time role at my most recent agency. I do consider my time out of college me being a full-time freelancer because I didn't have a job and all I was doing was freelancing and I still had rent to pay and whatnot. And I was working with various types of clients and companies and whatever. So yeah, that was my first time. Did that for maybe a year. And then this is my second time and I'm a year in and I don't have any plans to go back to work in the near future. So that's exciting, you know, congratulations to me. I am thinking about getting some longer term contracts next year just to see. I felt like those better than the shorter projects I've been doing, but I'm not too sure about that. I'm really enjoying my freedom right now. I'll say that much. Do you think it's best to go to college or would self-taught take you far? I think you can get an equal amount of success in either direction. I do think it might be slightly easier if you have a degree, but not because you have the degree, but because of the process and the things that you obtain in your college experience. Like, there are things embedded in your undergrad experience that kind of like prepare you for the real world. I know they all say that, but it is true. And it might not be the things that I really want, like how to do your taxes. But what is included is there's automatic networking. There is like presentation skills, how to talk about yourself, how to advocate for yourself. Like, there are just things that you do in your undergrad experience that I think makes it easier for you to function well in other real world experiences, including applying for jobs and interviewing and all that stuff. I think that's what makes it easier. But as far as employers looking to see if you have a degree or not, in my experience, yes, they do look at that. But as far as graphic design goes, I mean, like, the proof is in the work. Your portfolio is king. Your portfolio is queen. So yeah, I think either way, it depends on what you're looking for. I'm someone who needs structure, so I did go to college. Did I go to college for graphic design? No. So there, I don't know. Take with that what you will. Occasionally throughout these questions, there will be videos of mine that I can reference. And this one, I will reference how I started in this career, which is up here somewhere. I don't know. But you can watch that and get more insight on what I did in my journey. How do you determine pricing for graphics? So again, I have a video on what to charge, but the short answer is I do a lot of market research, and I also determine my value based on things like my experience and the overhead that it costs for me to get the job done, basically. But yeah, more info in this video up here. I'm really good at Canva, but suck at Adobe. How do I transition? Jump right into it. I think the easiest way to do it is to take the designs that you've been doing in Canva and try to create those same exact designs in whatever Adobe program to give you some help. If it is a raster-based project, like a photo or something like that, go with Photoshop. If it is vector-based, go with Illustrator. You're doing logos and stuff, definitely go with Illustrator. In some instances, you can choose any program really to do the thing you need to do. It just depends on what your output is and what the need is, but I would take the designs that you're already doing and try to recreate them in an Adobe program, and basically you're just figuring out how to get the same result with a different tool. We do that every day. If you're resourceful, if you've had to cook with no pots or write with no pencil, you know what I'm talking about. I've always been curious about your thoughts on disability/neurodivergence in the art industry. So this is more on my thoughts, a little vague, so I'm just going to say the first thing that comes to mind. Neurodivergence has been pretty prominent in the art industry since the beginning of time. Some of our greatest artists of our time, the time before that, are neurodivergent and were neurodivergent. And I guess it kind of makes sense because art and creativity in itself is inherently atypical. Like, it's supposed to be atypical, so it adds up. In my opinion, if you're neurodivergent, you're made for this. The proof is there. History tells it. Portfolio advice when aiming for first art direction career job with already having experience in art. So you already, I'm assuming based on your experience with art, you already have some technical skill or technical knowledge, like you're able to identify good design, bad design, things like that. And when I say bad design, I mean like technically bad design. So of course, outside of demonstrating your knowledge of the technicalities and having a technical skill, you also want to focus on your design thinking, your critical thinking, your ability to problem solve, because the role of an art director is quite literally to be the person to come up with some sort of big idea that solves a problem that might meet certain metrics or whatever the case may be, and you're able to communicate that to a group of people who are able to create, like, bring your vision to life. In that, you have to direct them to be able to bring your vision to life. So basically, in your portfolio, you want to be able to show the technical side and the thinking behind everything. You want to show people that you are able to give the big idea. Oh, and process if you can. If you currently can't show process, make sure on every project moving forward, you're documenting your process and finding a way to incorporate it into your portfolio. In my portfolio that I send out on request, I do have specific projects that show like a good deal of process, and those are my most talked about projects. And I think those are the ones that get me offered contracts more often, especially with bigger projects with a lot of moving pieces like experiential or campaign branding. Like a lot of those quick but robust jobs, they have a lot of process and proof of work, I guess. And so, yeah, I just would include that as well. How do you deal with clients around late payments and collecting invoices? So, number one, I don't do anything without a contract. And in that contract, it says that if you do not pay me by this date, when the project ends and you don't give me the money, number one, I don't return a final product without the final payment. That's just what it is. I find a way to show what they can receive without giving them the whole thing, and then they pay me, then they have the whole thing. So that's number one. But two, it also states that if you don't pay once I complete the project and I let you know it's time to pay, and you don't send me anything for X amount of time, there is a late fee of this many percentage of what you owe. And then after that, it's this much. And then after that, it just gets more and more expensive. And no, I mean, like, we're not right now nobody has the time or funds to be paying no extra money. You know what I'm saying? So usually that notification kind of scares them a little bit into paying on time, but I definitely don't hound people or like really chase for invoices because I have that contract. If it comes down to it, you know, a lot of it is in good faith and like trusting that people will pay on time. But if you got to go to court, you got to go to court. What can I say? I haven't had to. I thought about it a couple times, but you know, knock on wood. I hope that's wood. But yeah, don't do anything without a contract, basically, and make sure that payment part, make sure your entire contract is tight. Get it reviewed by a professional, get it written by a professional, and anytime you want to make changes, get it reviewed by a professional, okay? A lawyer. And you should be good to go. Like there shouldn't be too much issue. Advice for designers and artists looking for brand partnerships. So number one, I would say post relevant content consistently. Don't just post random brands because you saw them doing collabs with other people and you're like, oh, I want to be next. You have to post things that are relevant or that will work well with your content and your audience. Ultimately, if your audience is not engaged, the brands do not care. I don't care how many followers you have. I don't care about any of that. Your audience has to be engaged. So ultimately, and if they're already engaged with your content, you'll want to stay aligned with your content. But ultimately, you're providing for your audience. You're providing them with resources, with education, with inspiration, value, all that stuff. So if the brand is not aligned with what your audience is expecting from you or what is true to yourself, then no need to worry about them. The next thing is brands that you genuinely do already use and love. I would go ahead and start making content for them as it's relevant to your career or to whatever it is that you do. For example, Logitech. I partnered with Logitech previously. I did not pitch them, so this is not the best example. But either way, this is actually the product that they had me promote. I've used this product previously, not this exact model, but you know, you see this mouse everywhere. I used this mouse previously. I used this one since they sent it to me, and I've been using it ever since. When they sent me this mouse, they also sent me this keyboard just for me to have it, and I've been using that ever since because I genuinely like Logitech. Now today I'm not in partnership with them, but because I like their tools, I may make some content about Logitech just to share it with my audience because I genuinely like it and it makes my day-to-day better or whatever. Later down the line, Logitech may take note that I have continuously supported or showed their brand pretty often. It's relevant to my audience. My audience likes it. They see a lot of people in my comments saying like, oh, I'm definitely going to buy that. That gets their attention. On the reverse side, if they don't reach out to me, I could also use that content to pitch to them like, hey, I've already posted a lot about this. I really love these products. My audience really likes them. Is there a way that we can work together? I have a video also on how to pitch up here as well. I would definitely try to work in things that you already like into your normal content and see what works best. But generally, if you're posting content often and with a little bit of like showing the things that you like and products here and there and genuinely connecting with your audience, brands will start to reach out. My first brand deal partnership was for an app that was similar to TikTok, but it was for recipes. And at the time, I was doing a bunch of day in the life content. People knew that I'm not someone that cooks. I have one solid meal. That's just what I make all the time. But I did a day in the life of me trying to feed myself and keep my body fueled for a long day of work ahead. And that partnership was $300. But basically, I connected what I already was doing to that brand so that it made sense and it was seamless with the rest of my content. It might still be up on my Instagram somewhere, but it was $300. I think that's pretty good for my very first one. At the time, I had 3,000 followers on Instagram. The app had nothing to do with design or anything like that, but I made it so that it fit in with my content and what I do, and my audience liked it. Best advice / programs to back up your work. I damn near triple save everything I do. But I don't save anything locally on any device that I have. I save everything directly to a cloud service. So I use Dropbox. And then I also have plenty of hard drives laying around here where I'll occasionally go in my Dropbox and back up anything that has not been on there onto the hard drive, just in case. I don't know. That's more so if I'm somewhere that doesn't have internet. But everything is it backed up multiple times. If you're looking for hard drives or whatever, I have the ones that I use linked down in the description as well. How do you stay organized when having multiple sources of inspiration or prioritizing projects? I'm not 100% sure I understand this question, but staying organized when I have multiple sources of inspiration, I'm thinking when I have a lot of ideas and thoughts and things that I want to do, I use Milanote a lot. It helps me literally dump all of my thoughts onto a visual board. I also use Notion, obviously, I told you that before, but I use Notion more so for my project management. So like when I start a project with a client, I'll get their brief and all those things and like any links, and I'll organize that in there in a specific spread for them. I'll also incorporate their project timeline. I'll also put in meeting notes. I'll also put in like all those things I'll put into Notion. And then I also use Asana for my day-to-day task management. And I use that in collaboration with my clients as well. So they're on Asana with me and I use Notion alone. Milanote is basically my place to just like dump all my thoughts and organize them. And plus it looks really cute. It's a real visual space. If you don't use it, try it, use it. But I am in the process of looking at other similar tools and stuff. I'm just someone, I want to try every tool in the market. So just know when you see me using something else, I'm not cheating. I'm just dabbling. I was just using them apps. I was going to get right back. Thoughts on navigating networking in creative communities. I think networking in creative communities is so much easier than any other space because one of the issues that I've always had with networking is that you find yourself in a space where everyone is trying to be the smartest or most important person in the room. In the creative community, people are more so leaning towards the want to collaborate. And so we're all kind of like this. Whereas in other spaces, everyone's fighting to, I'm not into that. So I do think it's really cool. And if you are someone who is like hesitant about networking, I think if you are in a creative space, you could be much more lax about it and chill. I would just walk in with some things, like some talking points you already know you want to know about people, especially people that you may potentially collaborate with. It is super important to network in creative spaces. I think that, especially if you're Black or brown, I think that networking across is so important because you want to elevate each other and uplift each other. How else are we going to take over? You feel me? Okay. Also, another tip, because it's a creative space, if it's in-person networking, put that shit on. We're looking. Everyone's looking. You want to come, put something on so that people have something to talk about. It's easy conversation starters. How do I go about getting myself and my process more organized as a freelance designer? I think developing an organized process comes with doing your current process over and over and over again and really sitting down and, number one, while you're going through the process, documenting every point in your process, what it is that you do at every step, how long each step takes, if you need help with any steps, things like that. Just really getting critical and documenting every step of your process. And then once you've gone through the whole thing, going back and seeing what worked, what didn't work, what can be improved, all those things. You'll just tweak things as you go along. The process that I have today started from my original. There's never been a point in time where I just completely threw a process away. It's always been slight changes here and there that got me to where I am today. Advice for 20-somethings. First of all, I just left my 20s 5 days ago. Okay, let's not forget. So I need advice too. However, I will say that the only advice that I really have for 20-somethings is to, of course, be safe and have discernment, but do everything that makes you happy. Your 20s are your time to be selfish and to make mistakes, to make great risks with great reward. And, it's just your time to experiment and try all the things. So I would just say, anything that makes you happy, go ahead and do it. Again, safely and with discernment, but do it. You got to live for yourself. And I say that's my only piece of advice because I don't know what exactly it is that would make you happy in particular. Everyone's journey is so different, but that is a really critical and important time in your journey. And so I would just focus on your happiness and all that versus here's an example, not focusing on your happiness in your 20s. And then you get to your 30s and 40s and you're seeing people oh, I'm so unhappy. I've been at this job for so long because people told me to do da da da. people, okay? Because had you done what you were supposed to do in your 20s and just listen to yourself, you wouldn't be stressed out and trying to redirect in your 40s. And if you do, that's okay too. But what I'm saying is your 20s are best spent doing stuff like that, all right? Be safe and have discernment. Content suggestions for beginner graphic designers other than portfolio client work. So I always say you should focus on these particular buckets outside of client work. The first being your lifestyle as it relates to the client work. And so you do want to still keep it focused or semi-focused on the fact that you are blank, whatever your title is, but you want to show your lifestyle as it relates to that. So for me, I do a lot of day in the life as a graphic designer, or spend a work day with me as a creative, or, you know, things like that. You could do come to spend the day with me in the office, come to my agency with me, or if you even want to get even more lax, things that are much more interesting that people will be interested in. If you do work in an agency, I would love to see what kind of snacks y'all have in the kitchen. Like, you could just take me through the kitchen one day, you know, lifestyle stuff like that. Then you should also establish expertise. These would be things like maybe having commentary on current events or pop culture through the lens of whatever your title is. So I may comment on something that's happening today through the lens of a designer or an art director, or I may do it through the lens of a content creator, or whatever it is. You want to establish expertise like that. I talked about this also in that How to Get Clients video a bit, but that is something that you should definitely do because people will get a better look in your brain versus your skill or seeing you make pretty things, if that makes sense. The last bucket I definitely think is like the coolest one to me, and that would be passion projects. Now there are plenty other buckets that you can do. I'm sure I have other buckets, but these are just like my top 3 outside of portfolio work. Passion projects are so cool because as much as we love to see client work, that's good and fine, but you can actually do so much with passion projects and make them like palatable for a broader audience. You can kind of, let's say you're a designer, okay? And the same thing, kind of like what I just said with the previous bucket, if you were to pick something that's happening today, pop culture, current events, whatever. Pink Friday 2 just dropped, right? And let's say, shout out to the Barbs. Let's say I wanted to do a whole rollout. As a designer, I wanted to do a whole rollout, a full campaign for Pink Friday 2. And I post about that. It is so current, timely, it's popular, it's relevant to a stan community. Like, people are gonna eat that up. Matter of fact, one of y'all should do that. Yeah, y'all should, like ASAP, because by the time they get on that, people would eat that up. You know what I'm saying? And so that is something that could attract people that are into design, that could attract people who are not into design but are into music like you are. Like, that's something I would do because I love music, and so that is relevant to my personal brand. And so even though I am a designer, I might want to stick to doing, or not stick to, but I might want to do a lot of design work that has to do with music like I do. Or, you know, you get what I'm saying. So that's something that people who are not necessarily into design but like music, they will be attracted to that. And then potential clients will be attracted to that because they get to see your process and your thinking, your marketing brain, your design brain, like all that stuff in one. You also are able to get people who are not typically into what you do more invested in your life and how you think, just because you're cool, you're hip, you're in the know, and that in turn makes them a little more invested in your work. So when you do post portfolio work, it's less boring to look at. You know what I mean? Because portfolio work is boring as hell to look at to me. I'm sorry. It's you know, because it's like you can just see someone has the skill, the talent, whatever. But if you really get into things that are like, you can see someone's passion come out in their work, that's when it's like, oh, I like that. I want to hire them. So yeah, I definitely think passion projects, we should focus more on those. Here on this channel, my Design With Me playlist and Design With Me videos linked up here. They are videos that people share outside of portfolio work. Like, there's something that people share to recommend me to other people, things like that. Even if they're not sharing, like, I could have done a full project and campaign for someone, and someone else is like, oh my God, I love that. Who did it? Instead of showing them the full breadth of work that I've done for them directly for them, they'll go and find a video. This has happened multiple times. They'll go find a Design With Me video and send it to that person because the person can see me doing the thing in real time. They can see me thinking, they can see how I think. You know, like, passion projects are where it's at. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I know people are always like, you need to have real client work. Yeah, okay, cool. And also, you know, keep that brain sharp and fun. How to become a freelance graphic designer without a college degree. So without a degree, your experience is your bread and butter. And to get that experience, you basically just need to obtain your own clients. Being a freelancer is literally just obtaining your own clients. That's just all it is. And so again, I have a video on that, how to get clients. But yeah, I don't think that the degree necessarily matters as much as your ability to have a business mindset in attracting people to your business, if that makes sense. If you're looking to freelance with larger businesses, I think attracting those individuals as clients is helpful as a starting point, because then you're able to go to other businesses while you're looking for contracted work and show them what you're capable of, because you have all this experience working with these clients. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But I think you'll get the gist of getting clients in that video. I think that the way I started freelancing was literally just like word of mouth, telling people like, hey, I'm a designer, and like building from there. The more I did, the more work that I did. I didn't care who it was. I don't care how small their business is. Like, I'm working on projects that I'm interested in, and the more that I did, the more experience that I had, the more that I was able to show others. People take chances on you, so on and so. It just grows from there. It's like just plant the seed and watch it grow. Can you show us some of your first designs? How do you feel about Canva? Okay, well, first, I think Canva is cool. I use it a lot for like really quick projects, you know, things like if I need a header for my YouTube, like, you know, stuff like that for me personally. I also use it when my clients use Canva, like they want social templates or they want me to develop some type of asset and they want it editable in Canva, then I go in Canva and I do that for them. But it's not my preferred tool to use professionally because it simply can't support everything I need. Not to knock anyone that is a Canva designer, because there is a particular niche and like a whole community of Canva designers. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just not sustainable for me and what I do. And then I'm going to do a separate video on me looking back on my first designs. But for now, I did already make a reel about that, so we can watch that together and react to it together. So I made the big mistake of going on Facebook the other day. They were nice enough to show me a memory of some old design work that I did. So I figured let's dig some more up and embarrass ourselves on camera. Why not? Okay, we're starting off strong. This is a self-portrait. I'm not sure which self this is. We kind of look the same. Okay, 5 out of 10. This is allegedly a logo. Someone paid me real money to do this. I'm sorry. No, 2 out of 10. Okay, another self-portrait. Why is my contour so strong? 0. If I can give it a -2, I would. No. Okay, getting better. This is a logo for a photographer, initial CT. Solid, 8 out of 10. On the design itself, 5 out of 10. But this is my ex-boyfriend. If you're an artist, don't do that. Because why am I still seeing this? Don't do that. The helmet is disrespectful. 3 out of 10. Sorry, Cardi. Pain. I hate looking back on that stuff. Anyway, obviously that had like a lot of illustration work, but I will go back and pull a bunch of old design work. That'll take like a heavier lift, but I'll do a whole video dedicated to that. I think that'll be a fun video. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Not really, but I hope it is entertaining for y'all. But that is all the questions that I have for today. Again, if you have any other questions, please leave them down below, or DM me or whatever anytime. Thanks for sticking with me if you watched the whole video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. I just wanna chill and twist the line. Catch stunts in my 745. You drive me crazy, shorty. I need to see you and feel you next to me. I provide everything you need, and I like your smile. I don't wanna see you cry.